What's up everybody, my name is Vincent. Welcome to Cryptolution, where we talk about everything under the moon in the crypto universe. Today's Monday, June 1st. Now I do want to wish everybody a happy Rune June. As you know, Rune June is basically the month that we celebrate runes in general, and this was actually started by Arta and Sethi and the Kraken team. So I do want to come back to this video because we need to talk about what's happening in the past 24 hours. Now you may have noticed some things that happened in the news regarding Michael Saylor selling roughly around 32 Bitcoin. How did that overall affect the crypto market? You'd be surprised that when I'm looking at Bitcoin dominance, it's actually dropping, meaning that altcoins look like they're gaining dominance. So I do want to cover that, and also the wallets have been trading back and forth within DOG. I'm talking about the top 10 wallets have increased their portfolio size to 19.19%, which is a new all-time high. Because long-term holder count actually hasn't changed. The long-term holders still remain at 81%. So everything in terms of what you're seeing the DOG price, again, has been coordinated to make it seem like and mimic retail is selling when they really are not. This is all just a game being played so that you can sell your DOG. And we're going to share with you why DOG is not too different from Bitcoin. Institutions want your Bitcoin. The largest exchange in the world wants your DOG. So let's dive into on-chain data, because on-chain data and data in general helps you see a clearer perspective. Let's remove our emotions, focus on data. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X. Please be careful with any of the scammers down in the comments below. I'll never reach out via WhatsApp, Telegram, direct messaging, or email. So please be careful and invest safely. Guys and girls, let's get right into it. Okay, so DOG right now is around 63 million market cap. Now it does say it's down around 6.97%. So we could say it's down 7% over the past 7 days. Now let's go over to the trading volume. Trading volume is actually very, very low. No one's really selling or buying. Remember, when we see trading volume this slow, that means there's really nothing going on chain. That means everything that you're seeing off chain is reflective in the data that's happening on CoinMarketCap. So let's see why DOG did take a dip. Maybe it's because Bitcoin took a dip, roughly close to 2.5, almost close to 3%. Now the reason we saw Bitcoin drop to $71,000 is because this breaking news is that Michael Saylor sold roughly around 32 Bitcoin. That's only $2.5 million, but what this minor sale was massive headlines across crypto Twitter. Because as you know, Michael Saylor always says never sell your Bitcoin. So he sold just a little bit, which was thus 32. Now because of this, we saw major liquidations. These are pretty much $135 million in liquidations just within the crypto market. That just happened due to the news that we saw with Michael Saylor. But I do want to keep in mind that even though Michael Saylor did sell, it did not mean the whole market capitulated. But could we see something like this, where Benjamin Cohen says, hey, guess what? We're going to see what happens in every 4-year cycle. Is that we're going to see a major dip in June of 2026, the same that it is in 2022 and 2018. Now, I'm going to bring this up because it's actually very important. Who else says that we're going to happen to be in a bear market? Also, Plan B thinks that we're going to reach roughly around 61 to even 53,000 US dollars. Now, I will tell you, Plan B, even though he does use the stock to flow model, he has been kind of inaccurate sometimes. And the reason I say this is because this is other person called Larson who actually called him out on that, and he ended up blocking Larson. So Plan B doesn't really know everything. But the thing is, when you look at Benjamin Cohen and his tweet, along with like Plan B and all these other crypto influencers, they're all telling you that we're going to be heading into a bear market, right? So they actually have the bear market narrative in place. So who is listening to these influencers? Well, basically leverage traders. So if I were a leverage trader, most likely if they're telling you that we're going to be heading into a bear market, I'm going to be placing short orders, meaning I'm going to be shorting the market. I'm going to be betting that the market's going to go down. So I guarantee you that majority of crypto traders who are leveraging are going to be shorting Bitcoin and the crypto market, because they're seeing that major influencers like Benjamin Cohen, Plan B, you name it, the Wolf of all streets, you name it, all these people are saying that we're heading into a bear market. So what typically happens when everybody is predicting that we're going to head into a bear market and most leverage traders are going to be shorting the market? Well, I think that most likely that there's going to be a short squeeze at some certain point, because what they want you to believe is that there's going to be money made with the market going down. So most likely they're going to be people, big entities that see that sentiment and are going to flip the script behind the scenes, and short squeeze could possibly happen. That's what I possibly think could play out, but we will see what happens in the month of June. Now let's go over to the meme coin market sector. Now most things are in green, and this is a really good point to bring up. Now things aren't up that much, maybe like 1%, 3%, but I need to scroll over to DOT Bitcoin, because DOT Bitcoin surprisingly is down 6.28% over the past 24 hours. Now, isn't this very suspicious? Why did this happen? We're going to dive deep into that. So I want to talk about the social sentiment over dog on X. As you can see, dog has been mentioned more times over the past 7 days than Pengu, which is VC backed and also does paid marketing, and even delusional cult followers such as SPX 6900 that only follows one specific person, which is Murad. Nonetheless, global community leaders within dog still stand the test of time as the most engaging community on X. And even when you look at Rune's transactions right now, you can see that Runes are returning to levels that we haven't seen since June of 2024 during the peak and rise of Rune's launch in that time frame. Now let's also look into other news. OKX has now included Dog Bitcoin in their conversion calculator. Now I did some research. This wasn't a thing just a few days ago. This just happened recently. And also I noticed that no other runes were listed on the conversion thing, meaning like there was no Pups, there's no Billy, there's no Mim token, there's no Gizmo, there's no Lobo, it's just dog. Isn't that very interesting? And by the way, they don't even have RSIC, and RSIC used to be listed on OKX before it was delisted, but why is dog still on there? Interesting, right? So this is fairly new news. Now this image I do want to share with you, and why is this important? It's because you have to focus on the data up top and on the bottom. Up top is dog and how it's being accumulated by the largest exchange in the world. On the bottom it's Bitcoin. Notice that Bitcoin has been accumulated by the largest institutions in the world. What happens usually is that there's always a period where there's just retail buying that specific asset. The same thing that we saw over here. There's complete absence of any big exchange or big institution buying dog or Bitcoin. It always happens at the very beginning because that's what we call discovery phase. How well does this token do organically? And then there's a huge manipulation in the market, but who buys the dips typically? Well, during these red lines that you see both in dog and on Bitcoin, it's always the large entities that accumulate while the price of dog goes down or a Bitcoin goes down. They buy. Now I want you to notice something. Look at when Bitcoin took a dip. Massive accumulation occurred and increased by far with Bitcoin from larger institutions. These are ETFs, governments, private companies, public companies, smart contracts, exchanges, you name it, they accumulated even more during this dip. Now notice something up above. The exact same thing happened. When dog took a dip, we also saw massive accumulation at the exact same point, which is this little green bar, which is the fifth wave that was shared by Ordinals Al. Now, there's always an accumulation when the price is dipping. This is all coordinated. They want you to sell your dog. Now, I noticed something. Now, this was back in like May 31st, which was just yesterday. Notice that the major red candles that we have seen in dog over the past 72 hours was due to Gate.io. Now, Gate.io saw these massive red candles here, here, and here, and it also reflective in the price of dog. Notice that the top 10% grew to 19.15%. Remember, not too long ago, like a month or so ago, this is at 18.89%. Notice how it's increasing a lot. Now, let's look at Gate.io. Today, I'm not seeing that much selling pressure. Now, as you notice, the pressure that you're seeing here, this major red candles are going down, it's not happening on Gate.io. But what about Kraken Exchange? Also the same thing. Kraken Exchange is not experiencing red candles, where there's no selling pressure happening on here. So where did it come from? It actually happened on BitGet. BitGet actually saw the red candles. Remember, these Binance linked wallets transfer back and forth between either Gate, BitGet, or MEXC, you name it, they switch back and forth. And now they're doing it on BitGet. Because remember, the order books on all these exchanges for dog is very thin, so you can influence the price of dog on any exchange. Because say for instance, if I influence the price of dog on BitGet, it's going to send a ripple effect on Gate, MEXC, and Kraken, right? That's just kind of how it works. So here's an image that I need to show you today. This is actually quite fascinating. So just 2 days ago, you see that the top 10 wallets had 19.13%? Well, guess what? As of today, it's 19.19%. The most notable changes that we need to notice is the top 10 holders increased, but also the top 11 through 50 holders increased from 10.01 to 10.07. Where have we seen the most accumulation occur in? Well, there's a Binance linked wallet, which is right over here. Number 4, accumulate roughly 28 million dog tokens, but also MEXC saw 45 million dog tokens. Now, here's the really funny thing. Now let's talk about MEXC. This is the MEXC contract address. It's ending in HKMU. Now, when you scroll down to their transactions, what have you noticed lately? Now, they actually had some recent transactions from wallets such as A8NX and also 00LY4. Now, these specific wallet addresses, if you notice on this chart, are, guess what? They're tied into Binance. This is that wallet ending in 00LY4 and the other one ending in A8NX. And it all traces back to the Binance linked wallet. So this is why you're seeing this happen. This is literally happening in real time where Binance linked wallets are using MEXC to influence the dog price to making you think retail is selling. They are not. That's why you see them accumulating more dog, because there are short-term holders that are selling their dog. Check this out. So the long-term holders has not changed today. It's still at 81%. And not too long ago, this used to be at like 81.12%. So obviously there's like that difference where it's at 81% still. But all this trading, transferring back and forth, it's only happening between the short-term holders. That's it. It's not actually you, the retail, selling. You're not selling at all. You're holding. Now, I want to get into charting. So let's look at Bitcoin dominance first. Have you noticed that Bitcoin dominance has been dropping a lot? So usually when Bitcoin goes down, that means that also altcoins go down, and this Bitcoin dominance price ends up going back up, meaning we shouldn't see it go down. It should be going back up, but we saw a rejection. And even Benjamin Cohen's not going to address something like this, where it's going down. It looks like altcoins are gaining more dominance. So let's look into dog Bitcoin. Now, we are in the seller's market within the MACD, but doesn't mean that it can't reverse. I mean, honestly, this is completely healthy because we bottomed out with this purple line, as you saw back over here. It can't go down any further just because that's as far as down as it goes, right? It could trade sideways for a little bit, make it seem like consolidation, boring, stagnation. Yeah, that could absolutely happen. But every single time we expose these Binance leased wallets, there's always a capitulation event that happens right after. And this to me is just complete manipulation by those specific wallets. So ladies and gentlemen, you already know that I'm very bullish on dog Bitcoin, but you just have to look at the overall data that I've shared with you. These wallets within dog are just transferring funds back and forth, putting them in exchanges, influencing the price, wanting you to sell so that they can buy back in, accumulate your bags so that they can have a good portion of that supply. And as you notice, Binance is buying dog on multiple different wallets. They have been accumulating massively during these dips within dog. And also the institutions are doing the exact same thing for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. Dog is not going anywhere. These things are literally happening on chain so that you can do your own research, remove your emotions, focus on the data. They want to tell you something, which is that price is going down, when really they've been accumulating because they know price is going to go back up at some certain point in time. Because that's what large entities do. When they have a lot of monetary power, they don't worry about when things go down. They buy your fear. They are the sharks. 99% of people are the fish that run for the hills or, squirm around the oceans, and they try to stay away from these predators, when really they're the ones, the predators, the sharks, the whales that accumulate all your bags, because they're going to sell when things go up, and the shrimp, they're going to come back and buy and be the exit liquidity. Don't be the 99%, be the 1%, think like them. So with that said, I want to thank our sponsors, C2 Blockchain and Trucker Biff. Smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X to receive all of our alpha calls and updates regarding Dog on the Moon. Till then, see you guys girls next time.